Oh, my legs.
Yeah, stand up and start moving again before you cramp too much.
Today I'm gonna try and run a faster than average marathon in barefoot shoes with only 3 months of training. When I absolutely destroyed my body trying this with no training, I set a goal to finish it with only 7 weeks of training. And now, 15 weeks later, I'm going for it. Good catch, math man. Those two numbers aren't the same. I tore my plantar fascia while training for this, and feet are pretty important for running. So it was a pretty big setback. But I pushed through the rehab, strengthened my feet, and ran for hours on end so I could run this marathon today for myself and for you guys. I have no idea if I'm gonna be able to do it. Is my foot gonna give out on me? Am I just not gonna have the endurance to be able to keep the pace the whole time? I don't know. But I'm doing it anyways because there's no better time than right now to test myself. This is Jaden. He's gonna try to run the marathon with me. What he lacks in muscle and height, he more than makes up for in endurance, CPR training, and ability to kick my ass. Who better to help push me as hard as I can go and then revive my lifeless body?
Then this short guy. I don't know if I'll revive it though. Shit talking. You lost that.
So let's go. So it begins, and within 30 seconds, the first glaring mistake was obvious. This trail is a little shitty. Rocks were everywhere, big and small. We both felt like we were putting in 5 to 5.5 minute kilometer effort, but we were only getting 6 to 6.5 minute kilometers. It might be a good idea to check out the route before running it. It's not exactly ideal to be wasting energy like that right off the bat. Self-doubt was already starting to set in for me at this point.
My feet are pretty sore already.
Same. We were barely breaking the 6 minute, 11 second average pace we needed to hold for the whole time. We got an average pace, 6:07, 3 kilometers in. And even though Jaden didn't seem like he was breathing at all, I sounded like I was one deep fried chicken drumstick away from death. I was struggling. But a few days earlier, I met a wise marathon running man at the gym who told me, it's really hard on your body to run for that long. Just run faster.
Okay.
5.5 kilometers in, we finally got onto some solid ground, but my second biggest mistake was starting to make itself known. In training, I was always getting enough fuel in the form of water with electrolytes and my ridiculous amount of banana chocolate chip muffins. But because on this run, I was trying to talk to someone else the whole time, I was forgetting to drink every few minutes and eat my muffins consistently.
How's that muffin?
You're good, man. Around the 7th kilometer, I got a horrible case of you fucked up.
Thomas is cramping hard.
I started getting the worst cramp I've ever gotten on a run so far. It was pretty bad.
He's hurting. Look at his face.
But if there's one thing I'm good at,
You gotta stop for a second?
no, it's pushing through the pain.
I didn't know that your pussy was underneath your ribs, Thomas.
I was thinking this marathon attempt was gonna be over just after it started, but at the first sign of the cramp going away, we got back at it.
You are.
And we were flying, for me at least. 10 kilometers in, we were actually keeping a pretty good pace, 6 minutes, 6 seconds on average. And even though my cramp had gone as quickly as it came, I was still on the verge of death the entire time. And Jaden could feel my pain.
I know what I need. I know what I need.
Mistake number 1 was coming back to haunt us again. We thought this loop was gonna have way less hills.
These fucking uphills, man. Jesus.
Well, isn't there downhills for recovery as well? There was lots of downhills, but they do not help with recovery. I'm not sure about normal cushioned running shoes, but with barefoot shoes, all of the shock from having to control your speed going downhill goes right to the joints and muscles. Especially being a bigger guy for running, there's a lot of force going into each step that I have to absorb, and to me, that makes it even worse than the uphills. And then another problem showed up. Of course, the SD card in my GoPro failed on me. These frickin' SanDisk SD cards are making me lose my mind. They are absolute garbage. This happened around kilometer 13, and I totally forgot until kilometer 18 that I had my phone on me, which could take worse but still usable footage. So we were back on, but it was not going well at this point. This whole time, my heart rate was staying pretty steady between 175 and 185. My estimated max heart rate is 194, and depending on what heart rate zone calculator I'm looking at, I was in zone 4 or zone 5 the entire time. I don't know how much I trust the accuracy of my watch. All I know is I'm dying. Although Jaden is making this pace look extremely easy and has to keep slowing down for me, I am in pure play through the pain mode. I was slowing down, even though I felt like I was trying harder. I was basically just able to move one foot in front of the other. My body felt like it was falling apart, and I could feel that my right foot, the one that I injured, was getting really sore, and there was a sharp pain starting in the arch on each step. Jaden was trying to push me.
You got it, man.
And even though his cardio was holding up fine, even he was starting to have pretty bad foot pain. At this point, around kilometer 18, we both decided that a full marathon was just not in the cards for us today. There was no way I was going to be able to finish a marathon without ending up with some pretty serious injuries. But I also decided at this point that I was going to push as hard as I could go for a half marathon, and I was going to beat my best half marathon time.
On track for my best half marathon.
As hard as I could go was basically just maintaining the same pace I had been doing, but on every stride, it was getting harder and harder to do. I was in an incredible amount of pain, but I wasn't losing too much speed. And then came the final kilometer.
1 kilometer. Let's go.
I had popped a couple muffins the kilometer before, and I could feel that slight bit of energy coming on. So I buckled down and embraced the pain. After all, I knew I could just lay down and die afterwards. So I started sprinting, or at least what felt like sprinting to me. My legs were just able to move in a running motion, and I was only going at about like a 6 minute per kilometer pace, but I was putting every last bit of energy I had into doing it. My feet felt like they were breaking, my hip flexors felt like if I made one wrong move, they'd cramp up or tear, and my ass was on fire. But the imaginary finish line was in sight, and I was gonna destroy myself to get there. In the stiffest way possible, I came down to the final 100 meters.
Keep going.
Gave it everything I had, and crossed my finish line with a time of 2 hours, 14 minutes, and 32 seconds.
Did you do it?
Yeah.
Beating my previous best half marathon time by 6 minutes, and absolutely crushing my first half marathon time of 3 hours and 30 minutes. But still, I wasn't able to reach my overall goal of a faster than average marathon. I wasn't even able to get the half marathon at that pace, unfortunately.
Broken and defeated.
I'm happy to see my cardio is improving, considering how bad it was and kind of still is. But I've really started to realize that endurance, especially in barefoot shoes, is something that's going to take a long time for me to develop. I had this illusion of running a marathon being way easier because I watched a few videos of people doing it relatively easy with no training. I started to think, I'll look like a YouTube god if I do this at my weight. And then when I couldn't, I thought, well, it won't take me that long to be able to do it. I should have known that was pretty dumb, considering that when I was a child, the doctor strapped me up with a heart monitor because they couldn't figure out if I had asthma or a heart condition or something. But it turned out that I didn't have any condition, I just had shit cardio. Even with being a really active person for most of my life, cardio is just something that never developed for me. But I thought that if I just really wanted it to happen bad enough, then it would. Some might call that delusional. So would I. That overconfidence and desire to look good for YouTube made me set my goals way too big right off the bat, injure myself pretty badly from overdoing it, and just never give my sore ass feet time to heal. Most of the time, people like to only show their best moments on social media. It can really warp our minds and give us a false sense of reality. It sure did for me when I was watching those marathon without training videos. But I'm here to show you that other people failed too. I do a lot of dumb shit. I'm always learning, and most of the time, it's just trial and error. Some things aren't gonna come naturally to us, but that's all the more reason to push ourselves to be better. It's probably gonna be a very long process before my heart is able to carry my feet anywhere close to my goal. And I'm coming to terms with that and learning to enjoy the process. I don't have any timeline for when I'm gonna try it again, but I'm still gonna work hard and look forward to being an absolute endurance beast someday. So until the next one, keep going and get out and challenge yourselves, guys.